The chandelier sparkled above her, but she didn't notice. Her eyes were fixed on the man across the room, tall, silver hair, navy blue tuxedo. The billionaire. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, her hands trembling just enough to feel it. No one noticed her walking past the waiters with champagne trays and designer gowns floating around her like a different world. He was laughing with two politicians when she stopped near him. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly. He turned, eyes sharp but polite. I think you knew my mom," she said, voice almost cracking. He looked confused for a second, his smile fading slightly. "I'm sorry?" She swallowed hard. "My name's Amira. My dad. He had the same birthmark you do. On his wrist." Silence. The wine glass in his hand tilted slightly, just enough to spill a drop. His friends were still talking, but he was staring at her now. Really staring. She didn't blink. That's when his hand instinctively moved to cover his wrist, and the entire room suddenly felt colder. The limousine lights faded into the distance as Amira walked home that night, her dress dragging slightly against the pavement. The gala had ended, but her heart was still pounding. Not from nerves, from something deeper. From the way the billionaire had looked at her, like he'd seen a ghost. Her apartment was nothing like that ballroom. Peeling wallpaper, a flickering hallway light, the smell of something burnt 2 doors down. But it was home. Inside, her mother sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, coughing softly. "You look tired, baby," her mother said, reaching out her hand. Amira knelt in front of her. "Mom, can I ask you something?" A pause. Her mother's eyes tightened. "Of course." She reached into her purse, pulled out a crumpled newspaper clipping, a photo from an old magazine. The same man. Smiling, younger, next to an aircraft. Her mother froze. "Is this him?" Amira whispered. "Was this him?" Her mother looked away, tears welling up. "I told you not to go looking," she said. "That world ain't meant for girls like us." "But he looked at me like he knew," Amira said. "Like he remembered something." Her mother didn't speak for a moment. Then she reached down, took Amira's hand, and turned it over, revealing a tiny, faded birthmark on her wrist. "He had it too," she said. "Same spot." Amira's breath caught. Her mother wiped her eyes and added, "He left before you were born. Said it was complicated. Said he'd fix it." "Did he love you?" Her mother smiled bitterly. "Enough to leave when it mattered most." In the silence that followed, Amira sat still, holding both the photo and her mother's hand. And for the first time, she wasn't sure which one was heavier. The next morning, Amira sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the spot on her wrist. The birthmark looked so ordinary, just a pale smudge of skin. But now, it felt like a key. She picked up her phone and typed his name into the search bar. Grant Ellison, billionaire, defense contractor, political donor, private jet owner, the man whose name opened doors and closed them for people like her. Her thumb hovered over a photo. He was at some charity event, shaking hands with veterans. And there it was, again. His wrist, just barely visible beneath his cuff. That same crooked, crescent-shaped mark. Her chest tightened. She opened the drawer beside her bed, pulled out the old family album her mother never liked her touching. Page after page of birthdays and faded Christmases. Until she found it. A photo of her mother in uniform, smiling, strong, and beside her, cut out of the frame, just the edge of a man's coat sleeve and the wrist. The same mark, clear as day. Amira's eyes welled up, not with sadness, with clarity. She wasn't imagining things. She wasn't being dramatic. This was real. She stormed into the living room, holding both photos. "Mom, you lied," she said. Her mother looked up, weary. "I protected you." "From what?" Her mother sighed. "From being disappointed. From chasing someone who built a whole life pretending you don't exist." Amira's voice cracked. "But I do exist." Her mother's eyes softened. "Yes, baby, you do. And you are so much more than the man who left us behind." Amira shook her head. "I just need him to admit it. Just once." Her mother didn't argue. She only said, "Then you better be ready. Because once you ask the question, you can't take it back." And Amira knew. She would ask it anyway. 3 days later, the same man stood beneath an arched marble ceiling, laughing with a governor while reporters swarmed nearby. Cameras flashed, champagne flowed, and Amira walked straight into the center of it all, wearing the same birthmark and carrying the truth like a loaded weapon. She wasn't dressed for the room. Her shoes squeaked on the polished floor, and every step felt like dragging a question no one wanted answered. But her eyes never left him. He saw her before she spoke. His smile faltered. She stopped 3 feet away. No microphone, no crowd on her side. Just her voice. "You knew my mother," she said. "Maria James. You were stationed with her in Texas. You left." Silence fell. One of the aides behind him glanced up, uncomfortable. Another shifted nervously, but Grant just stared at her. "I don't know what you're talking about," he replied. Voice calm. Too calm. "You have the same birthmark," she said. "Same wrist. Same story." "You need to leave," he said sharply, glancing to security. She didn't move. She pulled out a folder. "DNA results. I mailed your office. You know it's real." A pause. His jaw tightened. "If you don't leave, I'll have you escorted out." "Fine," she said, her voice rising. "But you can't erase me just because I make you uncomfortable." Murmurs rippled through the room. Some turned their heads. A camera phone clicked somewhere. "You think you can rewrite the truth with a suit and silence?" she added. "But you left a soldier and your daughter behind." He looked at her for a moment longer, eyes cold, distant. Then he nodded to security. As 2 guards approached, Amira turned before they could touch her. Her voice echoed down the corridor. "He covered it up once. Let's see if he can do it again now." And she walked out, alone, but not defeated. Behind her, the whispers had already begun. The envelope arrived 4 days later. Amira sat at the kitchen table, her mother watching quietly from across the room. The table between them held nothing but the letter and the weight of everything unsaid. Her hands trembled slightly as she peeled it open. The paper inside was thin, clinical, but the words printed in bold were anything but. "Paternity confirmed. 99.97% match." She didn't speak, just passed it across the table. Her mother didn't react at first, only stared at the page like it had slapped her. Then she closed her eyes and leaned back. "So now what?" her mother whispered. Amira looked down. "Now the world knows." The story broke that evening. Not because of Amira, but because someone at the lab leaked it. Or maybe someone in that ballroom had whispered into the wrong ear. Either way, it was out. Billionaire linked to secret daughter. After gala confrontation. His PR team scrambled. Unsubstantiated claims. Privacy violation. No further comment. But it didn't matter. The truth had legs now. Grant Ellison didn't appear on TV for a week. No interviews, no events, just silence. Then one evening, Amira received an unmarked envelope slipped under the door. Inside was a photo. Old, worn at the edges. Her mother and Grant, standing beside a Humvee, laughing, her mom's hand on her belly. And on the back, a note in rough handwriting. I never stopped thinking about her. I just didn't know how to come back. Amira stared at it for a long time. Not because it changed anything, but because it confirmed what she already knew. He had known. All along. In another part of town, Grant sat alone in his office, lights off, the same birthmark visible under his rolled-up sleeve. For the first time in years, he wasn't sure if his silence had protected his legacy or destroyed something irreplaceable. The funeral was small, just close family, a few friends, and the quiet hum of grief that filled the chapel. Amira stood at the back, her eyes fixed on the casket draped in white lilies. Grant was there too, standing stiff and silent near the front. His usually sharp suit looked heavier somehow, weighed down by the years he'd spent running from his past. As the preacher spoke, Amira's mind drifted back to the moments they had shared. The confrontation, the denial, the DNA results. None of it seemed real here, not in this stillness. After the service, the crowd thinned. Grant remained by the grave, kneeling slowly. His hands trembled as he placed a single white rose on the coffin. He whispered words only the wind could hear. I should have come back. I was too afraid, too proud. Amira watched him from a distance, her own heart pounding with a mix of anger and pity. No words passed between them, but in that silence, everything was said. As the sun set, she turned and walked away. Strong, unbroken, ready to face whatever came next, with or without him. And behind her, the billionaire stayed kneeling, haunted by a truth he could no longer deny. Amira stepped away from the grave, her footsteps steady on the gravel path. The cool breeze brushed past her, carrying with it the scent of autumn leaves and distant city lights. She didn't look back, not once. The mansion's grand doors loomed behind her, a symbol of a life she'd never fully be part of. She didn't need the wealth, the status, or the apologies wrapped in regret. What mattered was the strength she found inside herself, the courage to face the truth and walk forward on her own terms. Her birthmark was no longer just a sign of abandonment or lost promises. It was a mark of survival, of identity, of hope. As she disappeared into the night, the world around her continued. But Amira knew this chapter had closed. She carried her story not as a burden, but as a shield. And in the silence that followed, the billionaire remained behind, forever changed, left to reckon with the daughter he once denied, but could never forget.